From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Chris Terrell Podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell, and welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week pan out for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through? Come on now, did you get your lesson for your failure? Don't you know that's a reward for your troubles? Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting, up, down again, before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my lifestyle, habits, routines, to my environment, community, and to my system of beliefs, all of which of these, by the way, created my weight gain, and for me to get the weight off and keep it off, I was going to have to change all those again. And I did. And I've kept the weight off. And I've gone on to help many, many others get the same results in their life, hoping you're one of them. And now I'm here each week, helping people like you get the same results of losing weight and keeping it off. Right? No more this just chasing weight loss business. Right? You're ready to move past that. You're ready to move past the point when you're chasing quick weight loss. I remember being there where it was all about seeing the number go down on the scale. That was the most important thing. As long as the number was going down on the scale, all was well. And I was, in fact, what's the word? Successful, right? I'm being successful at weight loss as long as the scale goes down. That's how I know a person hasn't gotten it. They haven't got it when the only thing they talk about is the scale going down. How's your weight loss journey going? And they immediately start telling me about the scale. I'm like, you ain't got it. You ain't got it. That's not what this is about. That's not what this is about. You still keep thinking this weight loss journey is about weight loss. But it's not. It's not. I know you want to lose weight. I know. There's a few things that I'm going to tell you about right now that you can choose to believe me, and this will totally change your life, or you can choose to not and do nothing with it. And I won't really know either way. It's really up to you. But let me just jump into it. The first thing you really got to know is that my free Facebook group is located on Facebook.com. And you can get a link to that by going to christerrellcoaching.com or by just looking in the show notes of the podcast. You'll find a link to it there. And the second most important thing you got to know is that I go live on YouTube every Monday morning around 9-ish a.m. And I would love to have you come join me there. I used to go live on Facebook, but Facebook started being stupid. And so now I got to go live on YouTube. And I'm really glad that Facebook was stupid because YouTube is way better. And I super enjoy it. And the live streams are super fun. And I would very much love to have you come join me there. But if you don't want to watch the live stream, don't you worry, because there's other YouTube videos. And the live stream's available for replay. And I'll take clips from it and I'll upload those. And I'm really having fun with the YouTube thing. So come on over to the YouTube channel and I'm going to keep making content. And I'd love to hear from you. It'd be great. Oh, and speaking of hearing from you, if you're on Spotify, you just pick up your phone right now, look down. You just look at the screen and scroll down a little bit. You're going to see a little box there where you can leave me some feedback. You can give me a message. I read every single one of them. If you see it gets published, that means I read it. I love them. I seriously do. It's like one of the best ways to give feedback to the podcast. I don't get as much feedback as I would like. And I would love to hear from you. So at any point, in any moment, if something stood out to you, if you had a takeaway, I'd love to hear about it. Just go ahead and give me a little note there. And last but not least, if you don't mind, give me a rating and a review on your podcasting app. That would mean the world to me if you were able to do that. However, don't leave me a review and a rating until I've earned it. Give me a chance to earn that 5-star review from you. I would like to get that, but I'd like to earn it first. So maybe give me a few listens. Okay, now let's get on to the topic that I wanted to speak to you about today. Now, if you're looking at here on me on video, because this may be on YouTube, I'm holding up a book here. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. Let's see, did I turn on the other camera? I sure did. All right, so I even got the second camera angle, so I can hold that up here. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. I'm going to read a little snippet from this book to you here in the episode, and we're going to talk about it. And this is an answer to a really important question, which is, why is weight loss so hard? Why is weight loss so damn difficult? Like, I know what to do, but I don't do it. And I'll even be doing it and lose weight. And then I go back to the old ways. And like, why? Why is it so hard? Like, think about it. Many of us, we quit a diet that is working over a bad day. One bad day, we will quit it. Look, there's a couple of you right now. I know who you are. I'm not going to use your name. You're in my guild. And I know that you've slunk away and you don't want to come talk to the guild. You don't want to come talk to the community because you've had a bad day. And you're probably wondering, why is it so hard to come back and talk to my people? Why is it so hard to go back and talk to my supportive community? I've supported people countless times. Why is it so hard for me? This is going to be the answer to that. So if you're listening to this, I hope you are. I'm talking to you for part of this. Part of this is made just for you. There's about 2 of you. And I'm making this for you. And a bunch of y'all, the rest of y'all, you can listen in. And the rest of it, though, is for everybody. But I'm not going to tell you which is which. You got to listen and figure it out. But all right, back to it. Psycho-Cybernetics. And the question, why is weight loss so damn difficult? Okay, let me read it first, and then we'll talk about it. So this is on page 2. Now, I want to emphasize, page 2. That means it's important. When you write a personal development book, you put the most important shit in the beginning because that's probably the only part most people are going to read. So you got to put it there. It's got to really count. This author, Maxwell Maltz, he really thought that this mattered. And you got to understand, this is written back when books were hard to make. Now, it's really not too hard to get a book made and you get self-published and do it through Amazon and stuff. So when people wanted to make a book back in the day, they had to really be passionate about it, and it was a lot more expensive. So think about that. Putting all, as hard as it was to make a book, he decided this needed to be on page 2. The heading is Your Key to a Better Life. Your Key to a Better Life. So let's get to it. I'm going to do my best not to stop and interject with my own thoughts so that you know what is book and what isn't. I make no promises, though. But I'm going to do my best. All right. The most important psychological discovery of this century is the discovery of the self-image. Whether we realize it or not, each of us carries about with us a mental blueprint or picture of ourselves. It may be vague and ill-defined to our conscious gaze. In fact, it may not be consciously recognizable at all, but it is there, complete down to the last detail. This self-image is our own conception of the sort of person I am. It has been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves, but most of these beliefs about ourselves have unconsciously been formed from our past experiences, our successes and failures, our humiliations, our triumphs, and the way other people have reacted to us, especially from early childhood. From all these, we mentally construct a self, or a picture of a self. Once an idea or belief about ourselves goes into this picture, it becomes true as far as we are personally concerned. We do not question its validity, but proceed to act upon it just as if it were true. The self-image becomes a golden key to living a better life because of 2 important discoveries. Okay, I'm going to stop reading. We're going to come back to the discoveries. How's my audiobook voice? I've been kind of working on that. Anyway, I want to talk about a couple parts in here. And again, I'm going to begin to explain the answer to the question of why is weight loss so damn difficult? All right. So whether we realize it or not, each of us carries about with us a mental blueprint or picture of ourselves. Do you, listening right now, consider yourself the big girl, the big boy? I'm the big old boy. Oh, there's old big Chris. Oh, big Joe. Is that a part of your identity? I want you to consider for a moment that you might at some point in your past have actually allowed the size of your body to become a part of your internally held self-image of who you think you are. That is going to be a bit of a problem because if you lose your weight, you are not going to accept that you are thin. Let me tell you a story about somebody I ran into several years ago. And this, as is usually the case, when somebody finds out I lost a lot of weight, they will tell me about their weight loss journey that they once upon a time went on where they lost a lot of weight, if the person's overweight. This is very, very normal. So much so to the point that actually, y'all, it's weird when people find out what I do. People get very uncomfortable when they find out I'm in the weight loss industry. But they immediately will tell me the story. And this person told me their story. And they said, yeah, I lost all this weight. And it's like 100 plus pounds. And like, yeah, I got really thin. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's great. And like, yeah, and I remember standing there in the store holding up the clothes going, this isn't going to fit. I'm way too big. I'm a big old girl. This isn't going to fit. And she's like, I just couldn't accept it. It was breaking my brain when I got down there that I couldn't see that I was as small as I was. And this person gained all their weight back. And look, let me tell you, that was a contributing factor. I have been that way. I've lost all the weight, and I refuse to let my brain update to seeing myself as this and letting go of the big version of me. It's a bit of a mind thing. And I don't know how to tell you about it. I can't point at it. I can just describe what happened in my experience. I can describe what I've seen happen in others. But you've got this picture in your head of who you are. I don't know where to point to say that's where it is, but I know it's there. And you may not think about it all the time. And he says it right here, Maxwell Maltz. He says, it may be vague and ill-defined to our conscious gaze. As in your conscious mind, the aware part of you, the part of you that hears me, that's thinking right now, you might not be able to clearly see or understand what your self-image is that you hold. But it is there. And he says it right here, but it is there, complete, down to the last detail. 100%, it's there. Within you is this picture of who you are. And it includes what you look like. And it includes how you act. And it includes what you do. It includes what you literally think. It's all part of it. And he says right here, it has been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves. Beliefs. The word beliefs is italicized there. It has been built up from our own beliefs about ourselves. You hold with you all these beliefs about who you are, about who you aren't, about what you can do, about what you can't. And you construct a self-image based upon those beliefs. So if you believe you can't lose weight, you will craft a self-image that has you as overweight because that's what you believe you are. And this is crucial to understand. Let's keep reading. This self-image becomes a golden key to living a better life because of two important discoveries. Number one, all your actions, feelings, behaviors, even your abilities are always consistent with this self-image. In short, you will act like the sort of person you conceive yourself to be. Not only this, but you literally cannot act otherwise, in spite of all your conscious efforts or willpower. The man who conceives himself to be a failure-type person will find some way to fail, in spite of all his good intentions, or even if opportunity is literally dumped in his lap. The person who conceives himself to be a victim of injustice, one who was meant to suffer, will invariably find circumstances to verify his opinions. The self-image is a premise, a base, or a foundation upon which your entire personality, your behavior, and even your circumstances are built. Because of this, our experiences seem to verify and thereby strengthen our self-images, and a vicious or a beneficial cycle, as the case may be, is set up. So here's the crazy thing. You'll construct this self-image about who you are. You will begin to move that self-image from within you into form, into the real world. You now look like it, which will then only further fuel your self-image that you have built within yourself. Now, this will keep you big. But here's the cool thing. It works to help you lose weight too. You lose weight, which helps give you, if you'll allow it to, a new internally held self-image, which will then help you keep that form. When I see myself now in my mind's eye, I see my current thin me. When I look at my old face, before I lost my weight, it feels like I'm looking at a stranger. It doesn't feel like I'm looking at me. It used to feel like it was looking at me. It's very strange. It now feels like I'm looking at me as a child. Like I know it was me, but I don't really remember what it felt like to be that version. That image within me has shifted so much to this current version of myself. When I was losing weight, all those times in the past, my self-image didn't really shift. It always felt like the results were temporary. Like I was just enjoying a little visit to Thinville. Like some part of me in the back of my head always like, yeah, you're going to gain the weight back probably though. You haven't fixed what did it. Like, and because I didn't know what caused it. So I didn't know what to point to. I didn't be like, that was the problem and I fixed it. I just was thinner and I didn't really know how or why. This self-image is crucial to construct within your mind. Decide the kind of person you want to be. I'm going to skip ahead to section number 2 here. The self-image can be changed. Numerous case studies have shown that one is never too young or too old to change his self-image and thereby start a new life. One of the reasons it has seemed so difficult for a person to change their habits, their personality, or way of life has been that heretofore nearly all efforts to change have been directed to the circumference of the self, so to speak, rather than to the center. Numerous patients have said to me something like the following: if you are talking about positive thinking, I've tried that before, and it just doesn't work for me. However, a little questioning invariably brings out that these individuals have employed positive thinking or attempted to employ it either on a particular external circumstances or on some particular habit or character defect. Open parenthesis, I will get that job. I will be more calm and relaxed in the future. This business venture will turn out right for me, etc. But they have never thought to change their thinking about the self that was to accomplish these things. Jesus warned us about putting the folly of putting a patch of new material on an old garment or of putting new wine into old bottles. Positive thinking cannot be used effectively as a patch or a crutch for the same old self-image. In fact, it is literally impossible to really think positively about a particular situation as long as you hold a negative concept of yourself. And numerous experiments have shown that once the concept of self is changed, other things consistent with the new concept of self are accomplished easily and without strain. I can tell you for me, stop reading there. By the way, he was talking to this guy. So he was a plastic surgeon, and he noticed that people would have trouble the differences in people after having a surgery, what it would do to their self-image, and how for some people it gave them a dramatically different self-image, and for others it actually created a conflict within them. And well, weight loss is sort of like is cosmetic, right? You're doing it to change how you appear. So it's very applicable for what we go through on our journey, this concept of self, and as he's describing it here. But he said here, numerous experiments have shown that once the concept of self has changed, other things consistent with the new concept of self are accomplished easily and without strain. When you change your self-image, all of a sudden the things that you thought were dumb, you will think make sense. And all of a sudden the things that you once thought made sense, you now will think are dumb. You will begin to change how you see things. You may have at times in your life found yourself saying like, I just see it differently now. That's an example where you've undergone some sort of a paradigm shift, some sort of a self-image shift or a belief system shift, and you now see things from an entirely new perspective. Always remember, what you see is what you see, but what you see is impacted by perception and perspective. Where are you and what can you see? And so you have to think, you're often trying to solve your weight loss problem from your own self. You need to look outside of you to get answers so that you know what to do inside of you. It sounds kind of weird, but let me explain. If you knew what to do, I'm assuming you would have done it by now. I'm assuming if you knew how to lose weight, you would have lost the weight already. Therefore, the only thing that's left, the only other option is you don't know how to do it. And that's why you've not done it. It's not because you're broken. It's not because you're fucked up. It's not because it's not possible. It's just nothing more than you don't know what to do. You're ignorant of the answer. And that can be changed because you're capable of learning. If there's something you don't know, you can go out and learn it. And so when I say you need to look outside of you to know what to do within you, you go outside of you and you get ideas. You get new ways of handling things. You look to people that have the self-image you want, and you begin to understand them, talk to them, ask them questions. Why do you see it the way you see it? I once used to think exercise was silly and dumb. I didn't understand that the reason why a lot of people use exercise is actually for emotional regulation. Yeah, it happens to help from a physical standpoint, but it keeps you emotionally regulated and balanced. It's like a natural medicine. I didn't know that. And so because I didn't know that, I didn't apply that to exercise when I was forming my conclusions on whether I thought exercise was good or bad or made sense. So now when I'm saying no to exercise, I know I am also choosing to place myself just slightly below what I could be. I could be more emotionally regulated. I could be more calm if I exercise and move my body. If I choose not to do that, I am choosing to go a path that is not going to provide me the same calming effect. It's fine. I make that choice plenty of times where I don't exercise. Like, it's not, I don't do it every day, but I do it most days. Like, I'm a good 4 to 6 times a week guy, exercising me pretty solidly. And there are stretches, especially when the weather's nice and I can be outside more. I'm 6, 7 days a week. Winter's where I struggle. I miss the sun when it goes away. But to change yourself, you have to decide who you want to be. So you look outside of you to get the ideas, and then you take those ideas that you find and you bring them within your own mind, within your own heart. I know I'm talking real heady here in this episode. I know I'm talking a little abstractly. I know some of this you might be like, I'm trying to hear you, but I'm not quite getting some of this. I know that. I know. You probably need to listen to this episode a couple of times. But if you can truly grasp the idea that the reason why it's so hard is because your old self-image is so strong, you might give yourself a little more grace when you struggle, when you slip. You see, this new life you're trying to move to, the life of your dreams, getting into the body of your dreams, losing all the weight, being done with it, that thing you're moving towards, it's not who you are yet. Now, somewhere along the journey, you will become who you'll be at the end. It'll be before the end. I don't know when, but it'll happen. Especially those of you in the beginning, it's all fake. You're just pretending to be the person you're going to be. It hasn't taken root. The old you is still there, still in charge. One of the things that happened on my journey is I found myself frequently of two minds of a thing. I want to eat this. I don't want to eat it. Simultaneously, I want to exercise. I don't want to exercise. I want to eat less. I want to eat more. I want to sleep in. I want to get up. When I was trying to change my mind, I genuinely wanted both, but one of them was much stronger. The old life had a lot of pull. The old life knew all the little tricks, all the little responses to throw in my face of like, you want this because of that. Like it knew all of them. And so when you're in the beginning, when you make a slip, the old voice has some real mean tricks it can do. It can be like, see, it told you weren't going to change, right? Or be like, well, see, you can't go back now. Everybody's going to see that actually you're weak. Everybody's going to see you're not strong. Like it might tell you things like that. You know what? You should just go join another community. You should just go join another diet program. Yeah, because they won't know about this failure. You can show up and have a perfect run. The voice might show up and say that to you. But that's because the old voice is practiced. It wants to keep you the same because staying the same is easy. It's really easy. You're out there, you got a month or two, you're really living that life and you're starting to get a taste of it. You're like, oh, I'm really digging this new version of me that I'm building. Like, I'm actually really liking it. I love this empowered feeling I'm feeling. I love looking at myself in the mirror and being like, I'm really proud of you. You've been doing a lot of things and I'm really proud of the effort you're putting in. You're starting to really get the hang of it. And then just like the bar of soap slips out of your hand. Next thing you know, it's gone. You just dropped it. Bad moment, bad day. And all of a sudden, there you are at the end, waking up the next morning, looking at the empty tub of peanut butter going like, why did I do that again? Why did I thought I was better. I didn't want to be here. Why am I here? I don't want to be here. You see, when you find yourself at that place, your old self-image is going to come in and try to convince you to go back to it. Be like, see, this is who you really are. You don't actually want to change. You see all that other stuff, it was all fake. It wasn't actually who you are. This is who you really are. Just stay this way. You know what? Everybody can be healthy at every size. You don't need to lose any weight. You're perfect just the way you are. You don't need to do anything. You know what? Come on. Just stop all that diet bullshit. You don't want to be that way. The voice will just sit there and tell you that stuff. And the other voice is just not very strong yet. It's like, well, hey, but we want to lose weight. That's why you got to have a strong why. Because in these moments, when you slip, when you fall, and the old self-image is talking to the new self-image, the old self-image is going to win because the new self-image is too weak. It's a baby. It's just coming into form. It's not all the way there yet. It's not strong enough. The old self-image is too strong. That's why you got to have a why. You got to have a why, a strong why, a why that is going to be there to push you when you don't have the will to push yourself. When you slip and you fall and the old self-image is coming in and telling you all the things to keep you stuck, you got to have something to be like, I hear you, old me. I know this is who you say I am. I know this is probably who I am. But, what about this? And you point to your why. What about that? I said I wanted to get to that size. I said I wanted to climb that mountain. I said I wanted to wear those clothes. I said I wanted to be able to crawl around on the floor with my kids. I said I want to be hiking when I'm in my 70s. I said I want to be able to go on a bike ride with my grandsons. I said I want to be able to get down on the ground and garden. I said I want to be able to go out and run. What about all those, old me? What about those? You going to give them to me? Because you got to have the old self-image be like, nah, you don't want any of those anyway. And you got to be like, fuck you. Yes, I do. I want all that stuff. How are you going to give it to me, old self? Tell me. Explain yourself. You got to be able to do that. But if you don't have a why, your old self-image is going to come in there in your moment of actual, true, genuine, real weakness, and it's going to convince you to quit because the old self-image is still you. You haven't changed it yet. You got to change from the inside and the outside. You got to do both. That's why I talk about journaling. You got to be studying yourself on paper. You got to start looking at your thoughts and being a little more critical of yourself. Going, how can I do better? You got to start looking at your conduct and going, I need to raise my standards. And not from a place if you're trying to beat yourself up, make yourself feel bad. That's not helpful. You need to do it from a place of like, I'm ready for more. I'm ready for more out of life. I'm ready to be the next best version of me. I'm ready to see what I am. I'm ready to see what I'm capable of. I'm ready to go to new levels. I'm ready to let the inner greatness that's in me out. But if you don't have a why, you won't. The old you will come in, tell you this is who you are, and you'll look at it and you'll be like, I guess. And you'll just give in. I guess this is who I always was. I guess I'll always be big. I'll never, other people, they lose all the weight, but not me. Not me. It's too hard for me. Maybe if I was someone else, maybe if I was someone else, I'd be stronger and I could do it. Maybe if I wasn't born into this situation, maybe if I wasn't raised under these circumstances, maybe if this person hadn't have said this thing to me, if this person hadn't have touched me that way, maybe if none of that had happened, I'd be able to do it, but not me. I can't do it. Y'all, I'm just telling you what I used to think. You do. I don't know what you say. This is what I said. But there comes a point, I believe, where you just got to look at yourself and say, I think it's time to level up. I think it's time to let this last version of me be the last version and move to the next one. Just maybe. It's time to let the old ways die. Maybe if you changed how you talk to yourself, you might actually start feeling different. Maybe if you looked at yourself and raised the standards and said, you know what? I don't deserve to be in second place. Maybe you'd act different. If you decided you don't want to spend your days figuring out what everybody else wants you to be so that you could just be that for them. And instead you want to just figure out who you are and be you and surround yourself with people that want to be with you for who you are. I don't know, maybe that wouldn't be so bad. But your old self-image is going to defend itself. And that's tricky. And people don't talk about this with weight loss. You go to a doctor, they're not going to talk to you about your self-image. Maybe a psychologist does. I don't know. I guess I don't know how they talk about this. I've never talked with one about it. Certainly not. Personal trainers and nutritionists, generally speaking. Dietitians don't usually have talked to several, and we do not talk about weight loss the same way. Yeah, y'all, I'm just a guy that for whatever reason was blessed with circumstances that gave me the gift of communication. It's a mix of my dad, my profession, and my religion, kind of creating this, and then probably some natural predispositions, all of which creating this perfect storm where I learned how to communicate. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is I'm here because I want to actually see this change. I could make more money if I just went and got a job. I could live a much more stable life if I just went and got a job. But the reason why I'm still here is because, quite honestly, I feel like I got lucky. I lost all the weight. I feel like I got lucky. A lot of things went right, and I didn't do a lot of them on purpose. I feel like I I don't want to say coincidence because I don't believe it that way, but it's just lightning struck and it worked out. And I've spent several years attempting to understand why, because it made me feel very uneasy. And I started to see it's what I did was duplicatable, but the fact that I got it was a little fortunate because I didn't choose everything consciously. And I feel so incredibly blessed and fortunate that happened, that somehow I managed to get across the divide from a life of being obese to a life of being in shape, from a life of hating myself to a life of loving who I am. And I want to help as many people find it as possible. I don't know. It's just who I am. And because it's who I see myself as, is it any wonder what I do for work? My self-image has changed. My name is Chris Terrell, but I am not the Chris Terrell of 5 years ago. I'm a very different Chris Terrell. If you met me 5 years ago, you wouldn't know me. If I go back and meet people that knew me 5 years ago and they haven't seen me since, they don't know me. They're talking to a stranger. And it's because I changed my self-image. Changing your self-image is the key. I don't have enough time to teach you all the things that go into doing it, but you do. Go pick up the book Psycho-Cybernetics. If you're looking for a starting point, pick it up and start reading. You can come to the Guild. We're working on it in there right now. We're doing Mindset Month before we move into Emotional Eating Month next month. You can find yourself a coach, a therapist, psychologist. Talk to somebody, parent, friend. But you can change. The way you've always been isn't who you have to always be. I didn't know that. I didn't know you could change. But it turns out you can, if you'd like. And it turns out you can actually change by design, if you'd like. Have a great rest of your week. And I'll see you next week on the Chris Terrell Podcast.